We allow the sounding of the bell to carry us inward.
Please join me in prayer as we begin by thanking Spirit for this beautiful late winter day that dawned in all its glory. We give thanks for this beautiful earth, all the creatures that dwell thereon, and we give thanks for this particular group of people that assembled today, that are gathering today in celebration of our spiritual heritage. We know that each one here is a unique and beautiful and perfect revelation of the divine. And so we identify more deeply with that right here and now. We accept our own divinity and the divinity of every other person in our lives, every other creature in our lives. All of creation tingles with Spirit. And that's why we're here this morning, is to celebrate that Spirit and to grow our relationship with that Spirit, grow our ability to let that Spirit have its way with us and through us, so that we may be a representative of heaven on earth. So I give thanks for each one here, for the divine commitment each one has made to their own spiritual growth, to the commitment each one has made to this beloved community. And I know that this morning's gathering unfolds perfectly, powerfully, joyfully, lovingly. And so I just let it be so. And with gratitude I release my prayer, knowing it has already done its work, it's already answered. And we anchor that in as together we say, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Chris, for the beautiful opening of our space. Good morning. If you're new with us here this morning, either in the room or online, my name is Diana Johnson, and I'm the pastor and spiritual director for Mystic Heart Spiritual Center. We are an independent interfaith community, so we have people of all traditions and no traditions at all that join us. We teach universal principles and practical spirituality. So I welcome you home to our community, and even more than that, I welcome you home to search inward for your own guidance and wisdom, because that's where your answers can be found. So we're going to begin our Taizé meditation portion this morning with musical prayer. So feel free to join in.
Welcome home to your mystic heart. Lay aside whatever came before. Let your own intuition start to guide you to heaven's door. Welcome home to your mystic heart. Lay separate us. We are one. Nothing can separate us. We are one.
This month we're using the practice of grounding to sense our connection with all that is. So I invite us to close our eyes, if you're comfortable doing so, or resting your gaze downward, and just relaxing, being aware of your body, relaxing, and allowing the chair to take all of your weight. Feet resting on the floor. Just notice how you feel today. How your body feels. What's happening in your mind. Notice how your breath is flowing. And whatever the breath feels like, begin to slow it down just a little bit. Let it go silent. Feel the belly rise with every inhale, and then pause at the top and let a slow breath out. Again, inhale, pause, and release. Let your whole body relax. Let a wave of calm flow over you and through you. Take a moment now to feel where the body touches the chair. Become aware of the sturdiness of the earth beneath you and how it supports every aspect of you. From this grounded awareness, imagine roots like the roots of a tree flowing from you deep down into the ground beneath you. Rooting down through the floor, into the earth, and spreading out far and wide. Allow your roots to connect all the way down into the center of the planet, feeling the energy that lives there, and drawing that energy up through the soles of your feet, traveling up through your legs and thighs, up through your core and into your heart space. Taking a moment to expand the heart. And then continuing up the spine and out through the head. And now moving it back down from the atmosphere above you, down through the head, the neck, the body, down through the legs and the feet, all the way back into the earth. Allowing yourself to be deeply grounded, to connect with the Sacred Mother, This deep rooting connects you with the earth and with everything that lives on her, within her, and beyond her. With all humans and all other creatures, with the plants, the rocks and grains of sand, and with every drop of water. With the heavenly bodies. All that exists, no matter how large or small, is an intricate and irreplaceable part of the one life, all dancing together in this cosmic mystery. Take a moment to breathe in that sense of deep connection. As human expressions, we're given the powers of self-reflection and choice. In return for these precious gifts, we use them wisely, caring for our brothers and sisters, human and otherwise, caring for the Sacred Mother as she gives of her nourishment, doing no harm, and aiding in the transformation that is happening in our world. We move into the contemplation of the sacred feminine and on what it means to truly hear and feel heard. We are each a unique combination of masculine and feminine qualities and traits. These are not specific to gender, but are energies that coexist within each of us. The sacred feminine is expressed when we are receptive, present, empathetic, listening and hearing in a way that is supportive and nurturing, from a place of poise or peaceful strength. This is true whether we are listening inwardly to what our bodies, minds, or emotions have to offer, or listening to another. Generous listening creates a sacred and safe space for another to be, to speak, to feel heard. It demands that we listen with our hearts and minds as well as our ears. Before a single word is spoken, we can hear the body language or facial expressions of another. We can sense the emotional state, the vulnerability or security, the joy or sadness, the enthusiasm or apathy that one may be feeling. Generous listening and feeling heard are both ways of building connection, something we are all yearning for. And this connection allows us to soften into the truth, not only our own personal truth or experience, but that of another. It takes us outside of our own wants, needs, opinions, and preferences, and places us in an open-hearted place of witnessing. In this witnessing, we feel our shared humanity. Many of us were not taught how to listen generously. how to show up for another in a way that feels safe and inviting. But I think it is something we all long for. How do we invoke the sacred feminine and her receptive listening? We offer presence. Distractions and opinions are put aside. Our undivided individual attention is the gift of the moment. There is freedom to express without criticism or judgment. And by our presence, the one before us senses that we hold his thoughts and feelings as valid and worthy. This kind of listening builds a bridge from one heart to another. Deep and generous listening is not only intended for the other beings in our lives. Like seeing and feeling seen, hearing and feeling heard begins within. Until we give ourselves the quiet space to hear what our bodies have to tell us, to listen for what our emotions have to share, to what our inner wisdom and guidance have to offer. Until then, we are not centered enough to hear another clearly. When we are not present to our own needs, our own lives, we lack the subtle strength to be truly receptive to another. The subtle strength of the sacred feminine is alive in all of us, whatever our gender. She is both strong and supple, stable and flexible, constant and fluid. Her open and loving heart provides a safe space for our authentic self to speak. In listening to ourselves, we begin by asking, how is my body feeling today? Is there anything it needs me to know today? How am I feeling mentally? Have I been giving myself enough peace and quiet? Enough stillness? Enough interaction? How am I feeling emotionally? Is there anything on my heart that needs taking care of? This is feeling and being heard. Giving ourselves permission to listen for what we need to do in support of our own health and wellness. Once we are on solid ground ourselves, we can be fully present with others.
How do we experience hearing and feeling heard in meditation and prayer? Do we actually hear a still small voice, as in the story of Elijah? Do we feel like God hears and cares about our desires? It's different for each of us. Everyone's relationship with the divine is unique. We encounter spirit deep within our body temple, within our own mystic heart. There, we make our desire known to ourself and to our God. And we listen for a response, not just mentally, but with our whole body, alert to every sensation, to every intuition. In our 3 minutes of shared silent meditation this morning, let us identify a deep desire and distill it down to a single word, such as health, prosperity, love, peace, joy. And with all the emotion of your desire, hold it in your heart. Let it radiate out from you into the universe. Then listen with heart, mind, body, soul, and spirit. Returning our awareness to the here and now, we give thanks for this blessed communion with our Creator and with our beloved spiritual family. Grateful for Spirit's response and vigilance for further signs that our prayer has been heard and responded to. We rest in quiet expectation. We continue listening with our entire being as Reverend Diana continues her Taizé message this morning, in full faith that all that we need is revealed to us, and that we continually grow and expand our capacity for hearing and feeling heard.
Hearing, feeling heard, takes a willingness to listen generously to ourselves and to others. Author, teacher, and mystic Mark Nepo reflects that to enter deep listening, I've had to learn to keep emptying and opening. How to keep beginning. I've had to lean into all I don't understand, accepting that I am changed by what I hear. Emptying and opening. This speaks to me of the sacred feminine qualities of surrender and receptivity. He continues, we must honor that listening is a personal pilgrimage that takes time. With each trouble that stalls us, and each wonder that lifts us, we are asked to put down our conclusions and feel and think anew. Listening is being present enough to hear the one in the many and the many in the one. Listening stitches the world together. It is the doorway to everything that matters. It enlivens the heart the way breathing enlivens the lungs. We listen to awaken our heart. We do this to stay vital and alive. Deep and generous listening is nurturing. It is a gift we give to ourselves, a gift we give one another, and to life itself. As we listen deeply, there is a message meant for us alone. There is guidance, direction, and wisdom. And we can trust that we are not alone in the listening, in the hearing. Again, like seeing, hearing is a reciprocal action. In our very existence, we are always heard. Great Spirit, ultimate reality, or whatever name we give to that which is beyond definition, feels the imprint of our every thought, word, and action. The mystery of life is everywhere present, all-knowing, all-hearing. Our needs and heart's desires are sensed and known as they come into being. I invite you to carry the art of listening and presence into your week. To remember that you are not alone, that you are always heard, always known. I invite you to listen to what your body, mind, and emotions have to share. And if you are able, to offer generous listening to another. In the name of all that is, we close together in prayer. Holy Presence, great mystery, all in all. With humility and surrender, I rest in you now. You are all that is. There is nothing else. I am an aspect, an expression of you. Divine human. In my humanity, I seek your wisdom. I listen for your voice. I hear and receive your guidance, acting as your hands, feet, voice, and heart in this world. And as I seek to hear, I know that I am heard, fully known by your infinite presence. I listen deeply in all directions, and I respond with mindful awareness. I listen for what my body, my mind, and emotions have to say, and I respond with loving kindness. I attune my listening to those who seek it, offering safe space and an open heart to those who are feeling vulnerable. In return, I find refuge in the deep listening of others. I attune my hearing to the calls of our beloved planet, aligning my actions day by day to the practices that best serve her. And in my giving, so do I receive her abundance. Thank you, Spirit, for the blessings too numerous to name, whether perceived as beauty or challenge. All are gifts of Spirit. All serve to build my character, my resilience and faith. I walk in reverence, in awe and deep gratitude for your powerful presence and wisdom in my life. And thankful for this time of communion, I rest, knowing that my prayer is answered before it is spoken. And so it is. Amen. Invite you to bring your awareness back into your body and into our space. When you're feeling ready, you can glance around a little bit, see who's wandered in. Good morning. Welcome, everybody. So this is at least a part of your spiritual family, one of your support systems should you choose it for yourself. Some of the people who care about you. So we close our meditation portion this morning with an offer without a tongue tied, offering an opportunity for you to share of your financial good, should you choose to do that this morning. This supports the work we're doing in the world. We are a self-supported organization, as we are independent and linked to no one. So we appreciate every gift that is given of your treasure, but your time and your love and your dedication as well. If you're with us online, you can find our donate button and mailing address at mysticheart.org. So we thank you in advance for any and all gifts that you offer. And as we offer this time, we're going to offer some music. We are blessed to have Gary French and Dalton Fitzgerald joining us this morning.
Yay!
And we had a request a while back to bring this one in, and so we're doing it, Angela.
That's why I'm here.
Who's gonna?
We also have a kick-tail song in the next half that Gary sings.
That's why I'm here.
You got a groupie, all right.
Yay.
Diane, you want me to pass the basket? Oh, okay, I didn't.
No, thank you for paying attention.
Not only Spirit, but Lucinda has my back as well.
Right. Just like he has mine. Deep in my heart, there's a place I can go where I'm one with the wind blowing down off the snow, far beyond thought, down where the mighty rivers flow, one with the earth, one with the stars. I'm home under the boundless sky, in the canyons and halls of eternity, where the eagle flies over fields of snow. When I'm here, I'm home. Deep in my heart, when my soul is alone, it can break free of the flesh and the bone. Under these boundless skies, in the limitless light of the mystery, I am one with all in the great so much. And we know that these gifts that are given of spirit, but through your hands and through your hearts, through your generosity. And they support us well. So thank you, Spirit. Thank you to each one. And so it is. So please consider grabbing a cup of something warm, and that's next door in Suite H, and come back to join us in a conscious conversation. We'll close the Taizé portion.
Would you tell everybody here, I have lemons, I brought in a bag of
Lemons.
So help yourself.
Cheryl brought lemons. Oh, bless you.
They're the best.
Yay. So we're going to close with a blessing. Bless you on to your cup of coffee.
Socially acceptable. Down the sky,
May your soul always find what it's looking for. May your heart always lead the way. May you live in peace and harmony. And may love always fill your day. May your path be strewn with happiness. May success find you everywhere. May you always embrace compassion and grace, and may God always answer your prayers. May you always embrace compassion and grace, and may God always answer your prayers.
Thank you for being here. God bless you, and I hope to see you back at 10:30.
Good morning. Welcome back.
Thank
Please
you.
join me in prayer. As again we celebrate this beautiful day that Spirit has made, all for our delight. It's gorgeous out there. And it's gorgeous in here because that beauty walked in on your feet. So we give thanks for each celebration of Divine Spirit that is here today. Every human expression of the divine that brings inspiration and wisdom, that brings love and joy and peace and celebration of our spiritual journey that we're taking together. So I give thanks for this beloved community, this spiritual family that supports me on my spiritual journey, and we support one another as we move along this path through this thing called life. So just with great joy and great thanksgiving that Spirit is present in this place, in every heart, I just release my prayer knowing it is already done, it's already been responded to. Spirit always listens, always responds. And so I just get out of the way and let it unfold, knowing it does so perfectly, powerfully, joyfully, and lovingly. Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
Aho.
Oha. Oha. Oha.
Aho.
I mean, yeah, that.
April, she needs a refresher.
Oh.
Good morning, everybody. So glad to have you here this morning. If you're just coming in or new with us online this morning, my name is Diana Johnson. I'm the pastor and spiritual director here at Mystic Heart Spiritual Center. We're an independent interfaith community. We teach universal principles and practical spirituality, and we welcome you to our family, should you choose it for yourself. We welcome you also to be looking within yourself, because what we're here for is to point you to you and your own answers. So join us as we begin in some upbeat music. Feel free to move around, dance, whatever you feel moved to do.
Welcome to the Mystic Heart. Join the celebration. Spirit made us family with loving hearts to share. Together we are joyfully practicing the possible through prayer.
What's possible?
Everything's possible through welcome to the mystic heart.
I dare you to stay in your seat. I dare you. Accept it.
Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Let us be reminded of who we've come to be. We are love, we are one big family. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Here we stand on holy ground. Let us make a joyful sound. Hey, 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 hey. Everybody get up on your feet. See the light in everybody you meet. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, yeah.
Anywhere, don't go anywhere. We got one for this month. One God. One God. Here we go. A little faster.
We are one God, one family. We are one God, living in diversity. We are one God. Now I see we are one God, living as you and me.
Same thing again.
We are one God, one family. We are one God, living in diversity. We are one God. Now I see we are one God, living as you and me. Oh, one God. Oh, one God. Oh, one God.
Here we go again.
We are one God, one family. We are one God, living in diversity. We are one God. Now I see we are one God, living as you and me. Oh, one God. 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 We are one God. One family. We are one God, living in diversity. We are one God. Now I see we are one God, living as you and me.
Woo-woo!
All
That's
right,
a
I
good
invite you
one.
to Stay standing if you wish, or sit if you're more comfortable. We're going to move into our practice of visioning and feeling and sensing and knowing the unfolding of a love-soaked world. Know with me now that we're creating a world where all humans embody and live from the qualities of spirit. Love, compassion, kindness, generosity, peace. From this way of being, I can feel the presence of a deep sense of joy and contentment and sufficiency. Can you feel that? Can you feel that unfolding? In this new world, all people honor and care for one another. For all of the life forms that share this beautiful earth, and for the planet herself. We remember that we are connected to all life, that we are dependent on the planet to sustain us, and on one another for our connectedness and our belonging. Being generous by our nature and living true to our nature, we give of ourselves openly and freely, offering the gifts we came here to give. With all needs met for every person, each one is free to share time and talent in whatever way that feeds the soul. By our every thought, word, and action, we're writing a new story in which all beings are well fed, have the safety and comfort of home, and a deep sense of belonging and purpose. We're so grateful that once and for all, health and education and relationships are supported by social systems that are grounded in integrity and compassion and wholeness and wellness.
Amen.
We welcome this new way of being, valuing every being for its uniqueness. We practice living authentic lives, no need to defend or protect. With love, generosity, and kindness guiding every human heart, our world is free of hatred and violence. We recognize the abundance that surrounds us. Giving and receiving flow freely in every direction, and all beings gratefully receive all that is needed to live physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually fulfilling lives. The planet and its beings thrive like never before as we learn to see the sacred in every one and everything. We walk in reverence and gratitude for all that we've been given. We maintain this vision day by day, moment by moment. We are not swayed by appearances in the world. Each of us works to align our actions with our vision, living these changes first in our own lives, with our families, our friends, our neighbors. And a new world is being born right here and now. In this process of profound change, this community stands as an open and welcoming place for all who seek support, all who seek belonging and a sense of family.
Yes.
By the power of our deep faith, this prayer is acted upon, answered even before it is spoken, as Spirit knows our heart's desire and knows our intent. In full expectation of its graceful unfolding, we release it to the creative power and intelligence that I call God, to the one that gets it done,
Gets it done.
and so it is.
And so it is. So be
Amen.
that.
Thank you for joining me every week in that visioning. I invite you to carry that home with you and practice it every day. You know, walk through the world with that vision, and it's happening. So, as we come back in awareness to this space, I remind us that our theme this month is Sacred Feminine. And today's topic is hearing, being heard, or feeling heard. And if you were here for Taizé this morning, you remember what was said, that every one of us is a unique combination of masculine and feminine. We have qualities and traits within us, that these are not specific to gender, but that they're energies that coexist within each of us. That the sacred feminine is expressed when we're feeling receptive and creative and nurturing, but also when we are poised, which means a combination of peaceful and powerful, also a feminine quality. Then we spent time in contemplation a little bit of these ideas. That generous listening creates a sacred and safe space. That space is free from judgment, so that another that's before us can feel heard, can speak and feel heard. That generous listening demands that we're fully present, listening with our hearts and our minds as well as our ears. That we can read the body language and the facial language and the emotional state of the one before us if we are paying attention and we're open. we talked about a little bit that generous listening is a way of building connection, taking us outside of ourselves and our own immediate concerns, and opens us in true compassion and empathy to another being that's before us. We put aside our wants and our needs and our opinions and our preferences for just a little while so that we can really hear what someone is saying. And that the generous listening, just like last week with seeing and feeling seen, that it begins within. It begins when we learn to listen to our own body's needs, to our own emotional states, to our own mental chatter, to our own lives as they're unfolding around us, and meeting those needs first, because until we've done that, we don't really have the grounding and the centeredness to be fully receptive and present to another. So that was our Teze this morning. And that's where I want to begin our conversation. Last week we talked about seeing and feeling seen. This week is hearing and feeling heard. So my first question is, how is feeling seen different than feeling heard? Or are they the same in your mind? She started with a tricky one. Yeah,
They kind of hold hands
okay, so they hold hands.
because I love to be seen, but I really like somebody to listen to me too.
Okay.
And be heard. So, I mean, you could talk to me and I can hear you, but it's better if I can be seen too.
Okay, so they hold hands in your mind. Yes.
I guess when I feel into that with those words, anyway, in my body, when feeling heard is something more resonance in the heart
Uh-huh.
for some reason for me. Being
Okay.
seen is, yeah, more of an outer, even though that's not exactly what we're talking about, but that's
Yeah.
just how it feels to me.
Right. Good. Thank you. Yeah.
For me, it's kind of a layer of intimacy. I mean, you can be seen without being heard, as Brenda reminded us last week. But, you know, and being seen is important, and that's one level of acceptance, one level of intimacy, but then being really heard and understood is it takes it up a notch for me.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
We use these two phrases a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So if I say to you, I see you, what I'm saying to you, for us, is I see all of the qualities that make you you.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize who you are as a person.
Okay.
I see you. The you inside the meat suit. I see you.
So you inside the meat suit. I see you.
And when we say, like, to the kids or whatever, like, I hear you, or to each other, then what we mean is, I am quietly taking in your opinion. I accept it. I hear the message you are trying to give to me, and I'm receiving it, and now I'm going to respond to you. But I
Okay.
fully hear what it is you're saying to me, or the message behind what you're saying, or the motivation, or whatever it is. But
Mhm.
they're kind of different for us in our family.
Okay. Nice. Thank you.
I second that.
Candace. James seconds that. Candace?
Another layer of that for me, I think, is really hearing someone. It's reciprocal, because not being heard, there's a response of, okay, well, now here's my side, or, you know, it might show up like that. But it's more of it's a reciprocal connection. Being seen is being seen, right?
Okay.
In a sense,
Right.
yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Because you have to actually hold that space and openness, as you explained.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Thank you. David?
It feels like it's beyond the physical hearing, beyond the physical seeing. It's an energy that
Right.
when you're really present, that you feel versus.
Yeah, so beyond
what it is.
physical seeing, beyond physical hearing, it's an energetic experience of some kind.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I would say for myself, it's a semantics thing where I hear a lot of things from a lot of places,
Uh-huh.
but then I see as action. So whether I hear something and it's actually coming to action, so seeing is, I guess, what's deeper for me.
Okay. Isn't it interesting how we all perceive these things differently? And then we try to interact in relationships with one another. This is where we can get into trouble, huh?
Absolutely.
For me, the feeling seen is about people seeing and recognizing, accepting and respecting who I am and my way of being in the world. And feeling heard is about people respecting and listening to my perspectives and my lived experiences, even if they don't agree with them. So that's kind of how I teased it out this week. 'Cause I'm going, what is the difference? I don't know. Come up with these topics, and then I have to sit with them and go, oh, man. Nice. So what causes you to feel heard by another?
Being open.
Being open? Okay.
Needing to be understood
Needing to be
or
under,
accepted.
needing to be understood or accepted?
Eye contact's always
Eye
a
contact?
good place to start, and if
Okay.
I'm not getting eye contact, I'm probably not gonna feel heard.
Okay. So eye contact makes you feel heard.
Definitely not seeing.
Not, definitely not
That was
seen.
Allie's joke, she didn't speak up.
And that same
Yeah.
idea of feeling understood, if we're mirrored by the other person, that they're voicing back, that I heard you say this, right? Or this
Right,
is what I'm
okay.
taking from what I heard you say, and that mirroring
Yeah.
back is
Yeah.
feeling.
Yeah, so that mirroring back what another has said gives an opportunity for clarification if it's needed, if the hearing wasn't accurate. April?
I also think for me, it depends on what is being communicated, but if I'm speaking a need
Mhm.
or something that I'm seeking, or I feel heard if I see action following up them saying, I
Oh.
heard you.
Yes.
So if I say, I really need this, and they say, I hear you, and then next thing you know, they choose to do what you said you needed, then
Right.
to me, then I know I was heard, because
Okay.
I've loved enough to be answered in action.
So feeling heard leads to action for you. Nice. Thank you. David?
It really seems to reflect on the presence of the person you're speaking to.
Yeah.
If they're right, grounded in the here and now, that they're actually able to listen, or
Right.
able to see.
Yeah. So do you feel heard when you're talking to me like this and I pick up my phone?
No, I don't think so.
Well, let me get on my phone and we.
Oh. We can text each other.
That's next week.
That's next week, right, yeah. Is there a time that you can recall, and you can either share or not, but I invite you to, yes, before we move on.
So when someone says to me, "I hear you," that means like they're saying I'm being pretty loud.
Oh, okay. Well, that you could have that meaning too, huh? It's like Aquarius, I hear you. All right. Is there a time that you can recall that you felt unheard?
When I go visit my sister, she won't even turn the TV off.
Oh.
And so when I've driven, 2 hours to go visit her and she's got the TV on and I said, gee, Joanne, can you turn off the TV? And she goes, oh no, it's background noise. And I think, I could stay home and watch TV. Why do I want to drive 2 hours? And she would never turn her TV off.
Yeah.
So I didn't go very much.
Right.
Because I didn't feel seen or heard.
Yeah, what's the point, right?
When
Come
I'm
on.
met with defensiveness, I definitely do not feel.
Yeah, when you're met with defensiveness, you don't maybe tend to feel heard. Potentially.
That's true.
What else?
In, long time ago in my job, I was having an evaluation. And before I got good hearing aids, I was very much a lip reader. And I was reprimanded for not doing eye contact. They weren't being heard because I didn't see their eyes.
Mm.
But I
Right.
was
you were-
busy reading their lips.
Oh, yeah.
But the people I was working with didn't feel heard,
Right.
understood, because I didn't look at them. I
Yeah.
didn't do eye contact back
They
then.
didn't understand that you were watching. To hear them, you had to
Right.
watch their mouth.
They didn't understand that, that's true.
Yeah,
So, I worked on that a lot.
yeah, yeah. Anybody else want to share anything?
Just a real quick thing on hers. I had a friend one time who was deaf, and I would take notes for him in class and everything. But apparently, I speak too fast, and I don't speak clearly for someone who's deaf. And somebody said something. He looked at me and he said, "If they can't hear you, how do you expect me to?"
Ooh.
And so it made me think about enunciating as well as
Right,
everything else. 'Cause you never know who's trying to get your meaning through your lips.
that's true. That's true. And when you have some hearing loss, what you're hearing in your head when you speak is often not what others are hearing, because you don't have a way of really determining how loud your voice is or how clear it is, so that can be a problem.
What was your question again? Put yourself in the.
Is
space
there a
of-
time that you felt unheard?
You know, I think a lot of times, my being heard is being misheard a lot of times.
Uh-huh.
You know, I think a lot of it is the energy sometimes that comes forth, and it's not what I am intending for what my words to be saying.
Right.
Just, I don't know what you said, just something just clarified something
Yeah.
inside of me. Thank you.
Sure. Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to say something on what she said and what Lucinda said.
Uh-huh.
That also comes down to the choices of the other person that
Right.
you're communicating with. And I think a lot of times, unfortunately, we get caught up in our own experience.
Right.
How do I feel? What
Mhm.
about me? And we kind of forget that there is other people on the other side of that experience.
Right.
And, you know, I deal with that a lot with people who have hearing losses and disabilities, and you have to make a choice to make sure they feel heard. If you're on
Right.
the other side of that as the receiver and listening, you have to choose to alter the way you speak. I have to speak a lot louder than I want to a lot of times, right? You know, or whatever it is, to make sure that they know that I hear them and
Yeah.
that I understand them.
Right.
And so it goes both ways. Not only can we get caught up not feeling heard, but we can also get caught up in the trap of, well, then I'm not gonna listen.
Yeah.
On the other
Right.
side of that. And I think that's something that we can all work on.
Yeah.
You know, being on both sides of that conversation.
Right. Trying to put yourself in another person's shoes. What is it feeling like for them right now?
The dance of it sometimes is
Yeah.
chaotic.
Even with people who can hear.
You get caught up.
The voice of experience.
You get caught up in, do you hear me, but I don't hear you, but do you
Right.
hear me, and both of you can do that all day.
Right, yeah. And the answer is no and no. Chris.
What do you do then? Be quiet? Everybody be quiet?
Maybe everybody get
Stop
quiet,
talking.
right?
This reminds me of the section of St. Francis's prayer. So it says, let me seek to understand rather than to be understood.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, as the elections loom, we don't hear a lot of that, you know, so.
No, we don't.
It's sad because it's polarizing. It's
Yeah.
not bringing us back into our oneness.
Yes, it is polarizing. I'm coming to you, Cavalia, but I want to say that, River, there is a box of toys underneath Rhonda's chair in the corner, if you want to crawl under and get them.
Now you're on the spot.
Okay, Cavalia.
I feel like defensiveness was kind of like the extreme word that I could use for this, for the same kind of scenario that we're talking about. It's like,
Uh-huh.
even if there's if there's less space or little space, and the response is, well, here's my side.
Right.
It just immediately, you recognize that that person is not considering or seeking to understand.
Right.
Just to poise.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I always invite a lot of slowing down.
Yeah.
Because maybe what you want to say initially is not
Right.
energetically like what's going to open up
Yeah.
the things in the conversation to be heard.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, you can be met with that immediate, here's what I want to say, and it may not even actually relate to what was just said. If someone is going in their own head about what their comment's going to be, they might make a statement back to you that is so totally unrelated to anything you just said or meant. And that leaves me feeling very unheard, blatantly unheard.
Well, we don't give a chance to
Right.
digest what someone has said before we're already going in our head going,
Yeah.
well, this is my response.
Right.
So you didn't even hear it.
Yeah. Yeah, so you're not heard. That's why you feel unheard, right? So how might you gracefully let another person know that you're feeling unheard?
Gracefully?
Gracefully.
I met a guy on a date site, and we went out and had dinner or whatever, and we were talking, and every time he'd ask me a question, I'd start to answer it, and he'd butt in and do his own story. And I looked at him, and I finally said, "Excuse me," I go, "You're not really interested in what I have to say, do you?" And he goes, "Oh, yes, I am." I go, "Then why do you keep interrupting me?" And he went, "Whoa."
That's graceful.
I didn't date him either, but
There you go. That's the answer you needed, right? Nope.
yep, but he didn't even know he did that.
Yeah.
He was surprised
Yeah.
when I called him on
Right.
it, and I did that because I wasn't getting a word in edgewise.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just be up front and say, "Excuse me."
Just be up front. Yeah, Rhonda.
So in the past, I felt very unheard, and that caused me to have low self-esteem, where I became voiceless, like my voice didn't really matter. And part of my journey through healing has been reclaiming my voice and speaking it. And in my family, I have a lot of strong personalities, and sometimes I don't feel heard.
Yeah.
So I like to address them with my truth, which is, like, in the past, I haven't always felt heard in our family, and I would just like to say what I need to say, and if you guys could just quietly listen, and I'm not looking for feedback or judgment, I'm just looking to share my feelings, and then I'll stop, and then you guys could share yours. And that's kind of how I have to do it in my family, because they're a little bit overbearing. And it works. It works, like, in most of the times. If I could use my voice and be kind in the process, I get really great responses from them. And then it makes me feel like I've been heard, and it makes me feel like I have a connection that's based on love and understanding, even if they don't have the answers for me.
Right. Yeah, because so often when we speak, especially speaking how we feel, we're not looking for commentary, right? We're just looking to be seen and heard.
Exactly.
Any other tools that people use for gracefully letting others know?
Honesty.
Honesty,
I'm not feeling heard right now.
Yeah, so all of these speak to honesty, being upfront, gracefully, kindly saying, "Can we stop?" and listen. Oh, sorry.
I think just making sure too that you are doing that, and in every conversation, making sure that you are doing it, and then hopefully they will start recognizing.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah. So self-reflection. Am I listening to what's coming my way deeply, or do I have my own ideas and thoughts about what this is? Am I truly putting my stuff aside, and am I hearing what's happening?
Something else is coming to mind right now in all this, but also too, we can express ourselves and be heard, but that does not mean we will always get the outcome
That's
we
right.
seek.
That's right.
So also offering that maturity and grace in understanding that even though, it's not that they don't understand you, it's that they're not able to give you
Right.
whatever it is that you're seeking. Maybe
Yeah.
you're seeking it in the wrong place, or maybe that's something in you that you need to
Right.
work on your own self.
Yes.
And we can't always expect the outcome to be in our favor, because they maybe have an outcome they want
Right.
in their favor, and that's where we have to meet in compromise and relationship.
Yeah.
It does not always mean you're not being heard,
Right.
just because you're not getting the response you
Right.
want. So, but for me, everyone has free will and choice, and I can speak my needs or emotions or feelings, and then it's in that person's choice and will and love and grace to either
Right.
receive it and give what I'm seeking, or to say I can't. And I
Right.
think a lot of times we get really resentful if the answer is I can't.
Yeah.
Maybe they just simply can't, and we have to, in seeing one another,
Right.
see where they are.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times we get caught up in wanting the end result and
Right.
then
Right.
feeling like we're not. But for me, what I'll say is, I need you to hear me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll speak whatever it is, and then whatever the outcome is, you have to let go of. Because
Right.
that's where
Yeah.
we get caught up in resentment and
Yes.
Right.
and all that, so.
Yeah. And then that can point you inward to say, well, I have this need, it apparently is gonna go unmet here. Is this a need I should be meeting for myself?
Exactly.
Is there another place in my life where this need can be met? Or is it really a need? Is it something that I'm, creating that really, maybe it's a want and not really a need, and I can just let it go?
Another thing too, when you want to be heard, when you're in a conversation, you make I statements, or you don't go you say, this is how I
Yeah.
feel.
Right.
And because when you start pointing fingers, there's three pointing back, that
Right.
saying. But that'll close somebody right down when you're
Yeah.
going, well, you didn't do this and
Right.
you didn't do that, and you're going,
Yeah.
down
Right.
comes the wall. So I think you need to be present and realize that there should be I statements.
That was my if no one else brought that up, that was coming next, so thank you. I would rather it come out there than up here. Yeah, I feel as though you might not be understanding what I mean. I feel as though you might not understand how I feel right now. Not, you never listen to me. You don't understand me. No, that blame isn't gonna go. It's just gonna create walls and blockages. Chris?
There was a leadership book that we studied a while back. They call those inarguable statements.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
feel, and in the school system, we called it I statements.
Right.
If you say, I feel like da-da-da-da,
Mhm.
they can't say you're wrong. No, it's my feeling.
Right.
Only I know what my feelings are, so.
Yeah.
And they're not, again, they're not blaming,
Right.
they're not a make wrong.
Yeah.
This is what I'm feeling.
Right,
Not you made me feel this way, but this is
Yeah.
what I'm feeling in this moment.
right. Those inarguable statements can be really valuable to have on hand. Even something like someone approaches you and starts to gossip about another person, wanting to enlist you, to be able to just say, wow, that's not my experience. I mean, that's just, you can't argue with what my experience is.
And it
So having
makes you
those handy
stronger
are
saying
helpful
that.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah, in my experience, when I was working,
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that anymore.
You don't get, well, yeah, maybe you do get paid. Never mind, go ahead. You do work, that was my point.
In a lot of the big organizations I've worked with, even the government, the crews on would complain to their immediate boss.
Uh-huh.
How come the superintendent never comes in to hear our grievances? And he was avoiding us.
He didn't want your complaints, huh?
And there was kind of chaos going on, and they knew they had to do something. They hired, I guess you call a psychologist or something
Uh-huh.
to talk to us individually. So basically, it come down to she was our suggestion box. So she
There we
said,
go, then you
write
can-
down what your grievances are. More or less, I looked at it as other companies I worked for had a suggestion box. Because you'd work for people that do as I say, not as I do.
Right, yeah.
And then you have to put your grievance in a suggestion box, which I don't know where that went.
Yeah, a suggestion box. That's how I'm heard. There you go. So sometimes the messages we receive from one another are not based in words at all, right?
Right.
We talk about body language, facial expressions. But sometimes the messages we receive come from silence. Sometimes the silence we hear is louder than any words that could have been spoken.
Yeah.
Right? What do I mean by that? What?
I was in a relationship for a while with a narcissist. I mean, that's what he was. And at first when I met him, he was wonderful and I thought I had died and went to heaven. And then all of a sudden he just stopped. And then I remember one time I just decided, I'm not going to say anything and see how long it takes him just to say good morning. And at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he hadn't even acknowledged I was alive. And I went, oh, I need to die. And I remember, oh, I got to get out of this relationship because that's not good for me. And when I tried to explain that to him, I'd say, this is how I feel. He goes, oh, you brought that in with you when you came. That's nothing to do with me. And I went, whoa, interesting. So anyway, so you have to realize that if the relationship or the conversations aren't working for you, to realize that's where they are and they're not going to change
Right.
and accept them and then find somebody to have a good conversation with. or
Yeah,
something.
there you go. So sometimes the silence is
Oh, it
louder than
hurts.
anything you could speak. I think I saw Barbara's hand a second ago.
You know, my experience with silence is changing, but for the longest time, the silence I had in my life was ostracizing from my family. Like, or if I didn't do anything, I might not have even known what it was, but if it was displeasing to someone, then it was just shut off silence. It was just
Yeah.
no communication.
Mm.
You know, and now with a softening heart, it's like that's it. They don't know how to communicate. You know,
Right.
they don't know how to do it any other ways. That's how they were taught. You know.
Yeah.
But silence can be a beautiful thing or a very hurtful thing.
Yes, it can.
And now I see a silence and contemplation of finding that listening spot in silence.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, there's some very hurtful places in silence. But thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Lucinda and then April.
I think that expression has a lot, it is very important in that.
It is.
And as a listener, not to make assumptions. So I'm talking to you and you have this sudden thought of somebody did this and you were slightly annoyed. Things are gonna flash through your mind.
Mm-hmm.
This is a human experience. But then I see your expression and I'm thinking that's about me.
Right.
So I think communication about what we're seeing on each other's faces is also important.
Yeah.
To say, are you upset with me because you look upset?
Right. Yeah.
I don't want to assume it's me.
Yeah. Good
Is this
point.
gonna-
Good point. Hang on just a second. April and then David.
Well, there's lots of different types of communication styles, right? So there's it depends really on the person's normal normal way.
What's normal
but,
for you?
You know, in growing up, our parents used silence in very different ways.
Mm.
If my mom was silent, she probably just was overwhelmed or dealing with her own stuff and she needed some space.
Uh-huh.
If my father was silent, something terrible was going to happen.
Yeah.
So it just depends, you know, but sometimes for some of us who are people of instant action and reaction, we want you to speak. And if you just sit there staring blankly at us, it's infuriating. But that is our own problem. So sometimes there's someone who I'll be like, tell me, and they just look at me, and I'm like, what is happening right now? And in my mind, I call that buffering, right? It's kind of mean, but sense of humor out there. I say they're buffering. They're looking for the information. They're
Right.
trying to load.
Yeah.
And how long can you hold it? But for me, if I get, most of you guys know me, if I all of a sudden just am very quiet,
We have a problem.
something's wrong.
We have a problem.
Something is very wrong.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
that's
me
kind
too.
of like how someone who sees me
Mhm.
in relationship would kind of know something is terribly wrong with April because she's not communicating.
Right.
And that means that there's so much going on inside of me that I can't
Mhm.
communicate right now, and I'm gonna have to take some time. And I will probably talk to you later, but right now
Right.
you would not get my best me.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and that comes down to me understanding that about myself, though.
Right.
That
Yeah.
I gotta get quiet and get in there and go through all that information and then
Mhm.
really see how I feel after the energy of my initial reaction burns off.
Right.
And some people can just be quiet because that's just their way, and they're just soft
Mhm.
and they don't communicate as much as some of us loudmouths do. And that's fine. You
Yeah.
know, but working on, I think, our own communication styles.
Right.
And understanding the communication styles of other people
Yeah.
is very important, because we all
Right.
use different types of verbal and nonverbal communication differently, based
We
on
do.
who we are and our filters and our past. Like Lucinda said, you could be talking to me and all of a sudden I remember some jerk that said the same thing to me 10
Right.
years ago, and I wanted to punch him, and now you're in front of me. So we gotta work on all that stuff before
Right.
we can really meet someone in relationship and
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah, so that goes back to, we can't really hear another until we've heard inwardly and we know who we are. We know what styles we bring. We recognize that we are not always the best listeners. And we acknowledge, that we might need some practice in those areas. This is a great conversation. Great. I'm looking up at my questions and I'm looking at the clock. Let's see. Couple more quick things. What qualities are involved in deep and generous listening?
Patience.
Patience.
Silence, to listen to
Silence.
the other person without interrupting.
Okay. Patience, silence, to listen.
Separating yourself and just trying to understand that person.
Okay. Separating yourself, just trying to understand.
Trust that
Genuine
there
in-
will be space for you to speak as well.
Okay. Trusting that there will be space for you to speak as well. Barbara and then Ally.
One of a good lesson in life that came years ago, a friend of mine we were walking and talking, and I was trying to interject, and she just calm, she said, you know what, I just need you to listen, I don't need you to fix it.
Right.
And it was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's self-awareness.
Yeah,
And she helped you to become more self-aware.
yeah, and you just needed that ear.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I didn't have to interject with maybe this, maybe that, or maybe we can do this, she just wanted me to hear
Right.
her.
Yeah.
I think every man has heard that from a woman.
Will you just listen to me and don't try to fix it?
Fix it, yeah.
It's
Don't
okay.
worry, fix why you're bringing it up.
That's right.
I think a genuine interest in
Okay.
trying to understand the other person.
So a genuine interest, a real curiosity,
Yeah.
a curiosity that leads you to really want to know what they are trying to share with you.
Authentic desire to
Yeah.
understand.
Attention, presence, non-judgment, seeking to understand, as you said. So can these qualities be cultivated?
Yes,
So,
Yeah, they can.
if you choose to do it.
If you choose to do it.
Gotta wanna.
Gotta wanna.
Practice, practice, practice.
Yes, practice. So do you have any specific tools or practices, just briefly, that you'd like to share? That you actively engage in to specifically build these kinds of qualities in yourself?
Trying to be mindful.
Okay?
I'm in listening to somebody else, I often have to remind myself, listen to this person.
pay attention to this person.
Mhm.
Because my mind is going, oh, well, she said that. I think next time I'll say this to her.
Yeah, so really paying attention.
For me, I do this a lot, listen to people, and I hear a lot of stories because I work with an incarcerated population
Mhm.
in prisons. And for me, it's taking care of myself. Because it's impossible for me to show up and be present for them and listen with a non-judgmental, open heart to what they're sharing with me. But I want them to feel heard, I want them to feel connected to me, and I want them to feel the compassion and love and grace in
Yeah.
that, so that they could come up to the, with their own solutions and their own ideas. But I know that that requires a safe place.
Yes.
And for me to continue doing that kind of work, it takes me really doing a lot of looking inside myself at how I show up for myself on a daily basis. If I'm judging myself in a situation or things are popping in my head that are negative towards my own self-esteem or my own well-being, then quickly getting myself back in line with my heart, my higher power, removing those things that
Yeah.
serve no purpose in my life, because ultimately I want to be the best version of me when I show up.
Right.
And I don't want to have judgments towards myself or others, and I want to show up with kindness and love, because I know that when that happens to me,
Mhm.
I feel really good and I feel connected
Yeah.
to a community.
Right.
And ultimately, that's what I want to provide for myself and for other
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, thank you. So it's the self-care of doing what you need to be able to be that listener. It's important.
That's a
Come
beautiful
on.
reflection for me, because my voice is a bit more crude than Michael's, and it's like, shut up. On the other end of that is leave space, right? Allow space for other people, but really
Right.
it's practice the silence. And I think everything that we talked about today leads to that receptivity, being
Yeah,
receptive.
it
I want to be
does.
receptive to, I'm receptive to learning from other people, so I
Uh-huh.
want to hear them.
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful. A couple more.
I think when I'm talking to somebody, especially about religion, I try not to do that, but sometimes, and you've really been helpful with me with that, is I have triggers
Mhm.
and realize that we have triggers.
Yeah.
And when we get a trigger, instead of reacting, to realize, go, oh, they do have a right to their own opinion, not
Oh,
be triggered
yeah.
by it.
Right, yeah.
know-
Allowing people their own views.
Right.
Their own opinions and beliefs and preferences. Did you have a hand up, Naomi? No? Okay, you were just moving. All right,
Doreen has one.
okay.
I'm listening to everybody, and a question for me came up, is like, when I want to be heard, I have the expectation that I'm going to be heard.
Uh-huh.
And I find, in my experience lately, I've been feeling like I've not been heard.
Mm.
And, I sit with that expectation, and I'm wondering what I'm really supposed to be doing with
Mhm.
that expectation of not being heard.
Yeah.
Because you want to be heard, so you
Right.
want to have that give and take.
Yeah. So do you communicate gracefully when you feel unheard? Letting someone know that that's how you're perceiving it, in a way that leaves it open for them to respond as well. Because it can be sometimes that others are really listening and hearing, and it just doesn't somehow look like we expect it to look, because we have expectations. Or, like April said, we don't, what they do in response isn't what we would prefer that it would be.
Yes.
But that doesn't always mean we're not heard. It just means we're not getting our way sometimes. I know, darn it. So I think bringing that question up in the moment, I'm not feeling like you're hearing me right now. Can I try that again? And Or, you know, what is it that you're hearing me say right now? You know, asking for feedback, but without judgment or, you know, to not be triggered by it when you're having the discussion is the tricky part.
I was gonna say we should
So-
do like role playing.
Yes, role playing. Do you have a response before?
Oh, I'm just, sometimes it's not even face to face.
Yeah, okay.
Sometimes it's not even just like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so sometimes I think, you know what people's limitations are, but you don't
Right.
pay attention to them.
Right, okay.
You know, for
That's
me,
important too.
That's what's coming to me in my meditation on that.
Yeah.
And I want to be heard. And it comes back to, I realize this person's limitation, but I'm trying to get my needs fulfilled, but I know who they are. So,
Right.
you know, that's something to really, for me to really accept who people are.
Right.
With that communication.
Yeah. And is this particular need something that someone else needs to fill, or is it something within myself to be filled?
Yeah, that's the question for me.
Right, yeah. Thank you.
Well, could I add to just a
Yes.
small piece of that?
I
Is
got
that
you,
I think
Chris.
a nice practice for that, I mean, it's not nice, it's challenging, but it can be nice. The
Nice and
outcome-
challenging.
The outcome can be nice, is the somatic experience
Uh-huh.
of sitting in that discomfort of whatever it is that's
Yeah.
showing up within us, bringing it back to ourselves. Is the
Right.
practice is sitting in the discomfort of not getting what we want or not
Right.
feeling heard, right? That is for us to overcome, not
Yes.
to put onto somebody else.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's, yeah, and it takes just being there with yourself, showing up for yourself, and
Right.
really, really sitting with that discomfort.
Yeah.
And the more you lean into it, it will dissipate.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah.
Even though it feels at first like friction.
Thank
Yeah.
you. We would benefit by learning to be comfortable with discomfort in lots of areas of life, actually.
Yes.
It would really benefit us to get more friendly with being uncomfortable. Chris?
Well, Doreen kind of covered this already, but I think it's important to realize that not everybody is going to be capable of deep and generous listening.
Right.
For whatever reason. They might not be capable because of the way they were raised. They just don't have that
Mhm.
that skill, or maybe just because where they're at in the moment.
Right.
But it's important to, I think, to realize that maybe this person cannot do this for me right now, so.
Yeah.
And to be able to forgive them and,
Right. Allow it to be okay.
yeah.
Just let it be okay. One more comment, and I'm gonna call us. Go ahead.
We just,
Great.
we just
Wanted to know about being
almost
heard.
came to a place of opening a giant can of relationships.
Uh-huh.
So we're not gonna do that today.
Yeah, I'm leaving my mom
But-
out of this.
But, you know, I think also with
Almost.
everything we're talking about, it needs to come down to what you can do and what you can't do.
Right.
And can you be in a relationship, regardless of what type it is, with someone who may not be able to hear you or meet some of these needs, how important to, there's all these things.
Yeah.
But it also comes down to you chose to be where you are as well.
Right.
And in choosing that, now you need to choose what you can and where your deal breakers are and where they're not.
Yes.
And nobody in here, I think, this morning is saying, just if someone's not listening to you, just deal with it yourself. Because
Right,
there
no.
is a place where you need to reevaluate and redefine those boundaries
Yeah.
and what is okay and what
Right.
is not. And is this my healing or is just simply not my place or
Right.
what not. But I think as a whole, just in this morning's conversation, just working on our own communication styles, but not going to a place of you're just going to have to learn how to deal with it all the time.
Right.
I want to make sure that's right too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Anybody else but me in this room ever had to just choose to leave a relationship because it just wasn't gonna be okay for me to be
It'll
in
be like the
that?
wave in
Wow.
Right. Yeah. So there is that choice point, you know.
Hard.
I just had a
It's
big
hard,
business,
but you have to do it.
It is hard sometimes, yes.
I had a big business partnership breakup recently, so yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't be heard, you know?
Right.
It's not in our abilities.
So I'm going to close this session with this prayer for deep listening, for hearing and for knowing and for sensing that I am heard. And I invite each of us to hold this in the first person as a prayer for yourself. In the name of all that is, holy presence, great mystery, all in all, with humility and surrender, I rest in you now. I live, breathe, and have my being in you. You are all that is. There is nothing else. But the presence of spirit, spirits that move in, through, and as me, my life, and that surround and enfold and carry me through each and every day. I am an aspect, an expression of the divine. In my humanity, I seek your wisdom. I listen for your voice. I hear and receive your guidance. And acting as your hands and feet and voice and heart in this world, I seek to hear just as I am heard. I know that I am heard, if not by other human beings, by the divine presence. I know that I am fully known by Spirit. I listen deeply in all directions, and I respond with mindful awareness. I begin by listening to what my body, my mind, and my emotions have to say, and I respond with loving kindness and acceptance. I attune my listening to those who seek it, offering safe space and an open heart to those who are feeling vulnerable. In return, I find refuge in the deep listening of others. I attune my hearing to the calls of our beloved planet, aligning my actions day by day, making adjustments to my habits so that I move closer to practices that best serve her. In my giving, so do I receive her just vast abundance. Thank you, Spirit, for the blessings too numerous to name. Whether these blessings are feeling graceful and beautiful to me, or whether they are presenting as challenges, they are blessings, they are grace, all gifts of Spirit, all serving to build my character, my resilience, and my faith. And so I walk in reverence and awe and deep gratitude for your powerful presence and wisdom moving through every aspect of my life. I thank you for this time of communion with community, and I rest knowing that my prayer has already been answered even before it was formulated on my lips, before it was spoken. So I just allow it. And so it is. Amen. What a great conversation, y'all. They just seem to get better and better all the time. I really enjoy this format, and it seems as though others do as well. It just feels good. So I invite you this morning to join in celebration of all the work we're doing out in the community as well as here by sharing of your financial goods, should you choose to do that. If you're at home, you can go to mysticheart.org and find a donate button or a mailing address to make your contribution. And while that's happening this morning, tying in with our theme, we're going to have Gary do a kicktail song for y'all.
Along with everybody else.
Along with everybody else. Kicktail song.
Well.
Oh, you're on my cord.
Did
Did it again.
Consistency is so important.
Yes.
Well, Spirit always gives us a light to shine and show us the way in any situation. So that's what this song is about. But I'll warn you, we're going to go a bit Irish on you. And that means that you need to feel free to stand up and have a good time. And do whatever that means to you. You can dance, you can clap, you can stomp your feet. But anyway, are you ready for that? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. In my wrestling, in my doubts, in my failures, you won't walk out. My great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. In the silence, you won't let go. In my questions, your truth will hold. Your great love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore. I won't fear what tomorrow brings. When there's morning, I'll rise and sing. God's love will lead me through. You are the peace in my troubled sea. Oh, you are the peace in my troubled sea. You are my light, my lighthouse, shining in the darkness. I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storms. Fire before us, you're the brightest. You will lead us through the storm. My lighthouse, shining in the darkness, I will follow you. My lighthouse, I will trust the promise. You will carry me safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore, safe to shore.
Isn't Gary awesome? I need to pass this guitar back that way. Pass this here guitar back that way. But you're doing the blessing, yes?
Yes.
Okay.
So let's take a minute to bless these gifts, to give thanks to the Spirit of God that created them, and to the hearts and hands and feet that walked them into to this place this afternoon. We give thanks for each person here, for the love, the prayers, the service, and the financial gifts that they give to Mystic Heart to further our work in this community. I know these gifts are blessed. I know that they are stewarded wisely, and so we just accept them with a grateful heart, saying thank you, and so it is. Amen.
Amen. So we're going to go ahead and close us out with our closing song.
I'd like to remind you, nothing has to be wrong for you to pray with
No,
me.
that's
We can celebrate all the good stuff that's going
right.
on, because gratitude brings more to be grateful for.
That's right.
All together, hand in hand, we see the light, we take a stand, and we are changing. A whole new life for you and me. Take your past and set it free, and share this blessing. Love be with you, peace enfold you, Spirit lift you. Now breathe it in, truth come through you, may good flow to you. Let joy renew you until we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, 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 love be with you.
Until we meet again.
Ooh, love be with you. Love be with you.
Now breathe it in.
Love be with you. Ooh, love be with you.
Until we meet again.
Ooh, love be with you. Ooh, love be with you.
Now breathe it in.
Love be with you.
We love you. Have a beautiful Sunday. Hope to see you next door.